Hello everyone, welcome to the class with Sister Josephine. I'm going to deal with the class 9 English 2 Treasure Trove Short Stories, the second lesson Old Man at the Bridge. Let's have some introduction before we start the lesson. The short story Old Man at the Bridge was written by Ernest Hemingway and published in 1938. The story is about a conversation between a soldier and an old man who had to leave his hometown during the Spanish Civil War. The story conveys the subsequent problems of the helpless victims, especially old people. The author reflects on the horrors of war and the physical, mental, and psychological effects of it on countless civilian victims, those without politics. I will be explaining this term later on. This short story first appeared in Ken magazine and later published in a book. Here we go with the author, Ernest Hemingway from 1899 to 1961. Let's know more about the author. Ernest Miller Hemingway, famous author and journalist, was born in Illinois in the United States of America on July 21st, 1899. After completing his high school, he became a reporter for a few months for the Kansas City Star. He then left for the Italian front to enlist with the World War I ambulance drivers. His wartime experiences formed the basis for his novels. So here we come to know about him more, something that he was a journalist, he was a novelist, and he also participated in the First World War. And Hemingway's first novel, The Sun Also Rises, was published in 1926. One of his popular novels, A Farewell to Arms, was published in 1929. He produced most of his works between the mid-1920s and the mid-1950s. He published 7 novels, 6 short story collections, and 2 non-fiction works. In 1954, he won Nobel Prize for the Literature for his great work in The Old Man and the Sea. He died in his hometown on 2nd July 1961. Here we go with the lesson Old Man at the Bridge. Before we start the lesson, let us know some of the themes of this story. So some of the themes that we deal with in this story are the fatality of war, life, death, and war, of course the consequences of war, alienation, which means one who is separated from one's own native place, concern for animals, compassion, love for native place. There are more other themes are there. We will come across other themes as we go through the lesson. Here we go with the lesson, Old Man at the Bridge. An old man with steel-rimmed spectacles and very dusty clothes sat by the side of the road. Here we come to know about the description about the old man. So here he is with steel-rimmed spectacles, which means a spectacle having the frames of steel. And how does he look like? He was looking with very dusty clothes and he was sitting by the side of the road. There was a pontoon bridge across the river and cars, trucks, and men, women, and children were crossing it. What do you mean by pontoon bridge? Pontoon bridge is a temporary bridge that is made up of large hollow containers filled with air, and this is made during the time of war to cross the river, and also maybe in some of the remotest place for the people to cross from one place to the other place, and it is a temporary one. The mule-drawn carts staggered up the steep bank from the bridge with the soldiers helping push against the spokes of the wheels. What do you mean by staggered? Staggered means moved unsteadily. That means the mule-drawn carts were drawing up towards the other side of the bridge, and when they were unable to move, the soldiers were helping them to push against their wheels to cross them easily. The trucks ground up and away, heading out of it all, and the peasants plodded along in the ankle-deep dust. What do you mean by plodded? Plodded means walked slowly with heavy steps. So the trucks were ready to take the people from there to the other place, and people were heading towards the truck and they walked in the ankle deep dust. Of course, we know that it was a river bank and the dusty place, so people were walking for long distance from there, and they were heading towards the truck to go away from that to some other place. But the old man sat there without moving. So people were moving, but the old man was sitting there without moving. He was too tired to go any further. Of course, as an old man, he was too tired to go any further. It was my business to cross the bridge, explore the bridgehead beyond, and find out to what point the enemy had advanced. Now, who is here? Here, the narrator. The author is the speaker, and he is also the soldier mentioned here. And it was his duty to explore the bridgehead. Now, what is the bridgehead? Bridgehead is a place, a strong position from the enemy territory from which they attack. So he just crossed over the bridge to check up to what point the enemy had advanced. So he checked and he is coming back again. I did this and returned over the bridge. So when he returned back, what happened? There were not so many carts now and very few people on foot, but the old man was still there. So most of them had moved out. Very few carts were there and very few people were just walking, but the old man was still sitting there. Here we see the people moving away. Where do you come from? I asked him. So the narrator asked the old man, where do you come from? From San Carlos, he said and smiled. So the old man was from the place San Carlos. He said and he smiled. Why did he smile? Of course, it is natural for us to smile when we speak about our native place. So the old man was very happy to say that he was from San Carlos, and it also shows his love for his native place. Of course, all of us will be happy to say where are we from. So it shows his love for his native place. That's why he smiled. And that was his native tongue, and so it gave him pleasure to mention it, and he smiled. That is the reason behind his smile. I was taking care of animals, he explained. So what was he doing in the native place? He was taking care of animals. Oh, I said, not quite understanding. Of course, the narrator was not so interested to respond to the term when he said I was taking care of animals. So he just said, oh, that's all. Yes, he said, I stayed, you see, taking care of animals. So what was his duty in the native place? He was taking care of the animals. I was the last one to leave the town of San Carlos. So I think from San Carlos everyone had left, but he was the last one to leave from that place. Now, he did not look like a shepherd nor a headsman, and I looked at his black dusty clothes and his grey dusty face and his steel rimmed spectacles and said, what animals were they? Now here we come to know some more description about the old man once more. So for the narrator, the old man did not look like a shepherd. Shepherd means one who takes care of the sheep, nor a headsman. Headsman is those who take care of the sheep and the other cattle. He did not look like a man like that, because his appearance, how did he look again? I looked at his black dusty clothes. So he was wearing black dusty clothes and his grey dusty face. So here we come across not very colorful things. A black dusty clothes, grey dusty face, black, grey, all these colors symbolizing the a sad moment in their life. That's what, there is no colors. Here there is not pink, white or yellow, green, is nothing is mentioned. It's all black, grey. A type of sad mood is being portrayed here about the old man. So he also looked with his dusty clothes which were black and grey dusty face. Of course, with he's an old man. He has walked in the dust for a long time, and his steel rimmed spectacles again once more, and said, what animals were they? So he asked him, what animals were they? Now, the old man replied, various animals, he said, and shook his head. I had to leave them. Okay. He didn't mention what are the animals. Of course, in the coming later part of the lesson, he will be explaining what were these animals. He said here, various animals, and he shook his head. Why? Because he was very sad to say that I had to leave them. He had to leave because he couldn't bring his animals along with him. So he was very sad, and he said, I had to leave them. So that's all for today. We'll come ahead with the same lesson in the next class. So still then, find the meanings of the words steel rimmed, pontoon bridge, staggered, loaded, bridgehead. And here are some questions for you. Name the author. Where was he and what was his duty? Who was sitting by the bridge? Why could he not walk further? Describe the old man at the bridge. What does the term pontoon bridge mean? Which is the old man's native town? Why did he leave his hometown? What did the narrator see upon returning to bridge? So these are some of the questions for you to find out. Please find out the answers and write it in your notebook. We shall continue in the next class with the same lesson. Stay safely and learn easily. Thank you.